World. I'm Blossom.
And I'm Divine.
And today we are going to be reviewing
Auggie and Me
by R.J Palacio. But before we start, how are you guys doing this weekend?
As for us, we're doing great.
Yes, we are having fun and doing book reviews for you guys. And guys, we hope you're having fun on the
6 weeks holiday.
Yes, I hope you guys are having a good time in your school. You're doing well and you're getting ready to go to high school if you're in year 6, or getting ready to go to different classes, basically different years. So as we said, we are going to be reviewing
Auggie and Me
by R.J Palacio. R.J Palacio lives in New York City with her husband, her 2 sons and her 2 dogs. She is the author of the multi-million, wow, lot of money, bestseller Wonder, which is a beautiful and powerful book. It's the book review we did last week. So if you haven't watched that, you can watch it after this video. Wow. Or if you want, you can watch it now and then come back to this video. It's not really a sequel though, which is the second book of it. But Divine, first, before I read you the blurb, and all the others the blurb, fans, what do you think is going to happen in this book, Auggie and Me?
I think that as you said last book, that there's a boy called Jack, Summer, and obviously August. And I think one of them will be Jack, and one of them, that one's Jack, that one's August.
Okay.
And that one's Summer. Maybe you said also in the other book that they're doing different points of them, and now they're gonna, and like me, like the main person who's gonna be the character is the person who said Auggie and Me.
Okay, so Divine, to be honest, that's quite nice and inferring, but what you said wasn't really correct. For once, it wasn't really correct. So I just want to read you guys these this in the front, the quote in the front, well, quote the reading in the front, and then I'll read you guys the blurb. An old friend, a new friend, and a bully, Auggie Pullman helped them all choose kind. A collection of stories from the world of the multi-million copy bestseller Wonder. So let me read you guys the blurb so you have a little idea of what it is about. You can't blend in when you are born to stand out. Wonder is the award-winning story of Auggie Pullman, an ordinary boy, with an extraordinary face, who is desperate to fit in. Now hear from 3 characters whose lives have been changed by Auggie forever. Julian, the mean boy, oh gosh, has always felt uncomfortable around Auggie, but a summer spent with his grandmother in Paris makes Julian see Auggie with new eyes. Christopher is Auggie's oldest friend and knows him better than most, than that being a part of Auggie's life comes with its challenges, because like he's a part of Auggie's life. Charlotte has always been nice to Auggie, but in a year of torn loyalties and damaged feelings, is being nice really enough? Hashtag choose kind. Now, I looked at this book and I was like, this blurb, and I was like, oh gosh, Julian's in it, sure. Julian has to be in this book. Julian, what are you going to say? What do you think is going to happen to you? And also I was like, Christopher. Yes, Auggie did mention Christopher a few times, that he's been best friends with him until he moved away. And Charlotte. Charlotte was one of the people who was picked to help Auggie and make him fit in. It was Jack, Julian, and Charlotte. But Charlotte was nice to him. She didn't really talk to him that much. She just gave him nice nod, hellos, and left. And she was just thinking, is nice being really enough, or do I have to be kind? So since this is a 3-in-1, we're going to start with Julian, because yes, Julian is in this book and we have to start with him because he's the first one. Actually, Auggie and Me is actually a combination of these 3 books, but if you want to get them separately, you can actually, because they're actually 3 ebooks separate of these. Now, the author did say in the intro that this book is not a sequel, a second book, second part to Augie's life. This book is completely different. Yes, maybe it has Auggie in all of them. Yes, it does. But Auggie is not about him. It's about them. There is no second book to Wonder. That's what the author said, which I'm sad about. But I do respect her wishes. Because she wants other people, other fans to be like, oh, I think Augie's going to do this. I think Augie's going to do this. She wants them to keep wondering. See what I did there? Wondering about what will happen to Auggie Pullman. And she doesn't want to spoil their imaginations for them. So Divine, now that I've read the blurb to you, and you've seen the picture, what do you think is going to happen in the Julian chapter? That's the name, the Julian chapter.
I think what's going to happen is that, you know how they were saying that they were changing people's life and making them kinder?
Yeah.
I think that they'll make Julian, he'll first, like, when they first get see each other again, he'll first be mean.
Yeah.
Like, in, like, the first 3 pages.
Yeah.
And then he'll say sorry and stuff like that, and then he will teach him some steps how to make people happy and kind and feeling better, and he was very happy.
Yeah, so I'll actually show you what the Julian chapter looks like. Sorry. There we go. This is the Julian chapter. And in actually every part of the Wonder Story and this, it has a quote or a poem. So this one says, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Ian McLaren. I think this quote is quite strong because you don't really know what someone is facing. Like, Julian didn't really know what Auggie was facing. He was like, hey, I'm rude to you, deal with it, okay? He's not like, have I thought about Auggie? Have I thought about all the operations he has? Have I thought about how a day in the life for Auggie is? He has never thought about that. He just got out of his way, and he has been quite rude to Auggie. As it said, Julian has always felt uncomfortable around Auggie, but a summer spent with his grandmother in Paris, makes Julian see Auggie with new eyes. So there's a way you're right, but there's a way you're not right in this one.
So I'm right and wrong.
But yeah, kind of that. I like how you predicted, but this happens. Julian, he goes to Paris. He meets his grandmother because he got suspended from school because he has been writing mean notes to Auggie. He came back to school and found out everyone was being nice to Auggie. Auggie was being the popular one, and he was being the outsider. He was in Auggie's shoes and Auggie was in his shoes. Because apparently, yes, Julian, he used to be one of the most, literally, he was the popular one in the whole school. His parents were well off, wealthy, oh my gosh. And he literally boasts about it. Everyone wants to be his friend. Everyone wants to come to him, say, oh, please, can you be my friend? But then when he got suspended for 2 weeks, quite a lot of weeks, I think 2 weeks or for a week or something, he thought about it and he came back and he was like, why is everyone being nice to Auggie? And he was just thinking that, what did I do wrong? Why is this happening to me? And since his friends kind of turned his back on him because there was this whole Auggie incident that I don't want to spoil for you, he spends his summer with his grandmother in Paris, and he was only not supposed to spend his whole summer. He was only supposed to spend half of his summer and go to camp with his friends. Well, his friends is obviously not really his friends anymore, so he was like, I'll just spend my whole time with grandmother, which he calls grandmère, I think. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. So I feel like this actually did change him, because Julian when his grandmother told him a story that I'm not spoiling for you, he found out that, hey, I've been rude to Auggie. I've done all these things. Now I understand why I shouldn't be rude to Auggie. Before, I wasn't sorry for anything I did. I thought it was okay. Because my mother, my father, they were like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Hey, because his mother was like, hey, oh my gosh, Auggie doesn't really look that nice, and she kind of did support Julian, but the father thankfully didn't. Julian started actually getting bad dreams because he saw Augie's face, which is quite extreme because he apparently looked in the mirror, he saw his face, and he looks just like Auggie, and he was like, I look like Auggie. Sorry, why did I do that voice? I look like Auggie, and he started having bad dreams. The mum didn't like it, so when they got their class picture, she photoshopped it to make it look like Auggie wasn't there anymore, which was quite hurtful to Auggie. So then after that, as I said, some spent with his grandmother changed him. He was like, I've been rude to Auggie. I don't want to move schools anymore, and I want to make things right. He actually wrote an apology letter to Auggie and said, hey, Auggie, I'm sorry for what I did. I know what I did was wrong. I know that I shouldn't have done that. And his parents, by a lot of persuading or a lot of telling off by his grandmother, he got back into the school, said sorry, and now he's fine. So now, Divine, I've talked about the story. What do you think the moral of this little story is? And what do you think, Julian, how do you think Julian has changed through the first part of the story to now? How do you think he's changed?
So, I think how he's changed is that, well, he used to be rude, he used to be cruel, he used to be all of those unkind things. But then when he stepped into Augie's shoes, he actually felt how it hurts and he wanted to be kinder.
Well, it's not really about him stepping into Augie's shoes. It's about him listening to his his grandmother's story. That's what really changed him. What do you think the moral of this story is?
I think the moral of this story is never judge a book by its cover.
Okay, yes, kind of the moral of the story. And always choose kind. Always, as Divine said, don't judge a book by its cover. And always think before you do something, because that really shows about Julian. He just did it. He said he wasn't sorry for what he did, but he didn't really think about it. So he kind of didn't think before he did something. Now let's go to the second part, Christopher, which is this boy over there with a star slapped on his head. So this little story about Christopher is about how he used to be friends with Auggie but had to move away. This book is called Pluto because, to be honest, Auggie and him loved Pluto. He used to be his best friend and everything. And Auggie used to play with two other friends. But then they started moving away from Auggie because of the way he looks. The mothers stopped talking and stuff like that. A lot of mothers got out of the group. But there was only a few mothers that stayed there and played with Auggie. One day, those two boys didn't play with Auggie and Christopher anymore. And Christopher found out it was because of the way Auggie looked. He started thinking that, hey, it's quite different because I'm friends with a boy who has an extraordinary face. And I always get stared at by other people. Whenever they stare at Auggie, they're like, oh wow, look at Auggie. And then when they stare at me, that's what you say, when they stare at me, they're like, hey, does he have a weird face too? Which I think it shows that Christopher's having a hard time. Christopher is kind of having a hard time, I don't know, being a good friend. He is Augie's oldest friend, but he's having a hard time being Augie's friend. So, one day, Augie's dog dies, and his mother, Daisy, and his mother tells him, "Hey, why don't you call Augie?" He's like, okay, I will call him. But he never calls Augie because of how he thinks about Augie. How he thinks in depth, like, how has it been different to when I am with Auggie and when I'm not with Auggie? So he thought about that. I feel like then when he did think about that, he just didn't want to talk to Auggie. But then one time he did need his help with maths. And he was like, I need help with maths. So Augie called him and he was like, "Hey, how are you doing? I heard you need help with maths. Do you want to call?" So then he did, and actually they hit it off. They were best friends. Well, not best friends again, but they were still friends again. They said that, "Oh, thank you for all the things you have done. Thank you for helping me with my maths and everything." So to me, this story shows that, hey, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what your friends look like. Just remember, your friends will always actually be your friends, and you should be proud of how your friend is and all their weird ways and personalities. So I think that's what this book is about. What do you think this book is about, Divine?
I think that it's about him, Christopher.
Yeah.
Christopher, believing, first, my friend is nice, my friend is good, but then he sees how other people think about him. Then he starts like, maybe I shouldn't really be his friend and stuff like that. And then when he helps him with maths, he's like, "Oh, he should be my friend again."
What do you think the moral of this story is?
Like, don't care about other people who thinks about other people or you.
Yeah, that's actually good. Really better than mine. Thanks for making it better. So now I'm going to talk about the third book, which is about Charlotte, called Shiggling.
Shiggling?
Shiggling.
Shiggling?
Yeah, Shiggling. So this book, this girl called Charlotte was also picked to be a helper, a friend to Auggie. And when she was picked for that, she was like, "Hey, I'm just going to be nice to Auggie. I'm going to give him warm smiles." So she didn't really be kind to him. Like, it's not like she's not kind to him. It's just that, like, so he was just like, "Hey, I'll just say hello to him. I think that's kind enough." But then she finds out that, hey, am I really being that kind to Auggie? Am I really doing my best? And after a time with friends that she's not with anymore, people who have helped her, she's found out that it's good to choose kind, because she has been with friends and has said torn loyalties and damaged feelings. A lot of torn loyalties, a lot of torn friendships, a lot of making up friendships, a lot of new friendships that has happened to her. And she was like, am I really being nice enough to Auggie? And I feel like this book shows that, hey, just because you've had torn loyalties, weird bad feelings, all those things, just remember to always choose kind and to always be nice, because all the time, no matter how she's feeling, she's always smiling and she's always the nicest person. She helps the charity and everything. She's not like, "Oh, I'm miserable, my life is ruined," loyalty, all those. She still helps everyone she can and is nice to, and that's what is an amazing quality about this book. So, Dwight, what do you think about this book? What do you think the moral is?
I think the moral is be kind to everyone, because you don't know what they're going through.
Like the quote of, well, you know, the quote of the Julian chapter?
Yeah.
So you think the quote of the Julian chapter should be for Charlotte?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually for all of them, because they don't have any quotes underneath. So it's for all of them.
Oh.
Yes. So now, Divine, I want you to ask me some questions. Over to you.
Thank you, Blossom. My first question is, how many stars would you give it?
All the books or just separate?
All together.
Together, I would actually give this 5 stars. The whole book, I would give it 5 stars because of how amazing it is. I'm going to give it 20 stars because of how good it is. How I really like how they tell different stories. Even though I would have loved Auggie to be in it a bit more, I feel like it's quite a 10-star kind of book. It's good, kind of emotional, kind of funny, really funny, and it really makes you feel happy and puts a smile on your face.
Okay, who would you recommend it for?
I would recommend this for 9 and over, but to be honest, since I recommended Wonder for 10 and 11 and over, that's probably you need to read Wonder first, so yeah, but recommend it for 9 and over. Really beautiful story, amazing messages. Cool, amazing.
Who's your favourite character and why?
Oh, since there are 3 books, since there are 3 books, I'm actually just going to pick one of my favourite characters, the characters of these books. All of them. All of them have their own stories to tell. Yes, there are ups and downs, there are rights and wrongs, there are bigs, there are smalls, and all those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, they all chose kind, and I feel like I shouldn't pick between them. I think they all have a special meaning to them.
Okay, what do you love about this book?
Well, I love how they chose kind. They thought, hey, I should be friends with Auggie. They thought, hey, I need to think about my actions. I need to think about how I've been to Auggie, how I'm feeling. So, yeah.
Well, that's it.
Okay. Thank you for watching this video. Please
like, share, and subscribe.
And hit the notification bell so you always know when there's a new video.
See you next time on the
Siblings World.
Bye!